All right, first of all, it's awesome to see all of you. Thanks for joining us. Finally, we get to relive some sports, both online and now we're going to have this game that we've been talking about here for over a week televised here in Michigan. We're going to re-air the 2014 WCHA semifinal against Alaska Anchorage. For those fans tuning in, we're joined by head coach Bob Daniels, class of 2017 member Gerald Mayhew, class of 2014 members Justin DiMartino, Andy Huff, and Corey Kane. I think to start this off, before the onset of this pandemic, we all had routines and it's upended our lives and it's given us time for reflection. And as we begin to reflect here, Coach, the 2013-14 team was a 29-win team. And as dominant as they were on the ice, it wasn't really ever all that easy. You got off to that great start, but then you figure you got tough trips to Minnesota State, to Fairbanks. You have Jason Binkley and Justin DiMartino have their appendixes out late in the season. Simone Denis and TJ Schlueter missed most of the season with injuries. How do you think this group managed to navigate mentally from going to that big early season success to what seemed like a ton of big obstacles at the end of the season?
That's a great question. And as I was reflecting back on the game that we're going to show tonight, the things that stuck out to me is, we did not play great at the beginning of the game. We scored early to go up 2-0. And then we proceeded to fall behind 4-2 about halfway through the game. And, at first when I watched some of it, I was like, wow, why were we playing so poor early on? And then what I had to realize was, as you look at the season in totality, we were racing hard to win the inaugural WCHA championship. And it was a fight from the very start of the season to the end of the season. We had gone to Fairbanks 2 weeks before the last series. We lost 2 very tough games there, came home and swept Lake State. A lot of, when you're going to the whip, if you will, we weren't physically tired, great conditioned team, but I think we were a little bit mentally fatigued. It's a hard thing to do, and you want to come up for air, but the very next weekend we've got Bemidji State. And the first night was a walk. We won 8-0. The pressure on our team that year, though, it was the inaugural WCHA championship at Van Andel Arena. We would have been the team that was going to drive attendance there. We had to get there, and there was a lot of pressure to get there. The next night, we beat Bemidji in double OT to go to Van Andel. And then along the way, as you had referred to, we have a number of players out too for the season, and Schlueter and Denis. And then with DiMartino and Binkley having appendixes out. And if my memory serves me correct, and Corey Kane's going to have to jump in on this, he was sick all week, missed the entire week of practice. He was centering the hottest line in college hockey in the second half of the year. And all of a sudden, we roll into this game, and what should have been a highly emotional and charged game for us, I think we had really run out of juice emotionally. And it wasn't until, like a true championship team, when we fell behind 4-2 and we weren't playing well, we picked it up. And that's really a sign of a champion, because there's no way any team is ever going to be 100% every night. And we were close to that in the closing stretch. And then all of a sudden we kind of laid an egg to start the game. And that's all I can figure out the reason for it. But like a true champion, boy, the guys came on strong. And, I don't want to ruin it for anybody watching. I won't tell you what the end result was.
For Andy Huff here, Coach mentioned that unit you're on with Corey Kane and Jerry Mayhew. You started to heat up personally, and then that whole unit started to really heat up. You were second on the team in scoring that season. I don't know if maybe all of us expected that, but you certainly put on a show and seemed to fit in. But you look at that line, that's 3 very different personalities. How do you think you guys made it fit every night?
Oh boy, loaded question. No, it's different personalities, yeah, but also different play styles. And I think certain play styles end up meshing well together, right? So, I mean, Corey and I had played together a decent amount, obviously, over the course of our career at Ferris, and we had a line at one point with DMAR, I think, and that line didn't quite do as well as the line with Jerry. So, like, you know, having another player kind of go in there to change it up a little bit is useful. So, but I think we all got along well, both on and off the ice, and it complemented each other and stuff. So
we get to zero in here on the game that we're going to talk about, I also want to bring up Corey Kane's wild stretch of hockey through the end of the season. Last 16 games, Corey Kane had 21 points, probably one of the nation's top players in that time. The only guys that really had any stretch of a lead in scoring over him was Johnny Gaudreau, and I think we know how his career worked out. What really clicked for you, Corey, in that stretch of hockey? Because it was kind of impressive to watch. It seemed like every night it was 1-2 points here and there.
I don't know. I think it just got hot down the stretch. Line mates really helping out. And I don't know. I was just coming off an injury, and I think I had missed 4 games. And it was my senior year. I wanted to come back strong and finish off well. So.
You get into the wild week of that game, and in game 2, Coach mentioned the double overtime game against Bemidji. You took out a pane of glass, so you have that happen to you. And then, like 2 days later, I was getting ready to file a story when I was working at the student newspaper, and I get a text that you're down with the flu, and I'm like, well, he'll be fine. And as the week goes on, we're starting to get more and more information that you're not on the ice. You didn't get much practice. I don't recall you practicing at all that week. How bad really was your week leading up to the semifinal?
Well, after the game on Sunday, which we had won to clinch the series, I remember we celebrated a little bit, and then I went home and I just puked all night. And then the whole rest of the week I was battling. I mean, some guys might say it was from, too much celebrating. But no, it was definitely the flu. And the whole week, I mean, it's one of those things, hey, you don't really get to practice and you just play games. I know some guys love that. But no, I mean, I remember going in, I think we practiced the day before the game at where the Griffins play. And I just remember being gassed. And I remember that game, I was gassed. Just everything was kind of slow motion. Even when we look back, it was like, wow, man, wasn't going at 100%. That's true. I was trying, but it wasn't all there.
Coach Corey, if you don't mind me asking, how would you respond to allegations that a 24-hour bug knocked you out for a full week, and maybe you were milking it a little bit?
I would say that was negative. It was not milking it. I didn't go to class or anything. I was staying home, and everybody wanted me to stay away from my teammates too. So,
Coach, as you look back at that week a little bit, obviously you've got one of the best players and the best line in college hockey sick. Does that weigh on you mentally a little bit, starting to think of, what do I do if I can't put him in? What do I do if he can't play? Did you start to really think maybe we're going to have to go without him in that first game?
Yeah, I mean it definitely plays into your mind. It's more than missing one player too. Obviously, it's missing a player from the hot line, but it's also missing a player from the power play, a player that penalty killed, a player that's was won more than his share of faceoffs. So we're not talking about it as a staff, and you're prepping for that. That's a lot of holes to fill, and why we had an awful lot of good hockey players in that team. You could look at Justin Buzzio, Garrett Thompson. I mean, that was a good hockey team. And you already alluded to it. We had 2 players out for the year that were all WCHA material, and Schlieder and Denis. And then to miss him would have been really a blow. And I agree, he wasn't on in terms of, maybe on top of his game, because you're not going to have your legs, not when you have the flu. We worry about dehydration at that point, cramping up. That time of the year, it's spring, the arena's warm too. but he really came through. He did, and you know, as you said, you know, you watch him early on in the game. His legs maybe weren't there, but his heart was, and you know, something like that too is uplifting to the entire team when you see guys come back, and knowing that, you know, we were dwindling in numbers in terms of guys we could put out there, and there's an added pressure. We were the reigning champs of the regular season, and we were driving the attendance at Van Andel, and we needed to get to the championship game. I mean, there really a lot, and that wasn't something we laid on the players, but there was a lot riding there for that first year, that playoffs to be a financial success and a success in terms of having a championship atmosphere. You know, that was important. We got to it, and you know what, we weren't disappointed either. We had a great crowd support that weekend, and it was awesome.
Jerry, I know how much you love playing at Van Andel Arena. I can't count how many goals I think you've scored there now in your professional career too. But when you walked into the building on game day, sometimes, you know, you walk in and it's just your day. Did you feel like it was kind of your day that day?
I don't know. I mean, being a freshman, you didn't really know what to expect. But when I saw, you know, like Coach said, we had a great support. I don't know how many people we had in the student section. I think I remember they had the little white things you bang together, and they weren't allowed to have them, but we snuck them in anyway. So that was pretty cool, and it was a great crowd, and it was a great game. But yeah, I just went in there and I wanted to win. So
here for Coach DeMar, as we call him here now in Big Rapids. Anchorage is up 2 in the second. Obviously, you're stuck watching this game in the stands after having your appendix out, which is tough. But you take a look at, you're down 2 goals in the game, and for all the flashy things that Corey and Gerald are capable of, I know you and Andy Huff are close. What would you say about his skill set in big game situations and how important he was in that situation, especially tying that game up?
Well, luckily for me, I had a lot of experience in my 4 years watching games from the stands, so I knew kind of what to expect when I was out there. But no, in all seriousness, I was very, very upset when we committed Andy Huff. Actually, no joke, I called my dad that day, and I was not happy. I did not like playing against Andy my whole life growing up. He played at Honey Baked. I played for Little Caesars. I did not like that, but he was one of the best hockey players I've ever seen with his stick work and in the corners. He was very clumsy and gumpy, and you didn't know what he was really doing, and I don't think he knew either, but it was what made him effective, really, because you couldn't knock him off the puck, and he had some of the best hands in tight along the boards, and you know, someone has to be greasy because, you know, Gerald's going to sit at top of the circles and just call for the puck for a one-timer, but you know, Kaner would probably be a bubble guy, maybe around the outside of the net, but Andy was able to go in there and get a little greasy. And you know, a lot of those 2 guys, you know, Kaner and Jerry, you know, with how much skill they have to make plays. But, you know, being a fellow grinder myself, I have a soft spot for that. Now, Andy had a lot of success that season. That's kudos to, you know, Jerry and Kaner with that. But I think if you can have a guy that is able to go and do the stuff that no one else wants to do, and it's not a bash on Jerry or Kaner, but it's true. You got to have a guy like that on the line because we have 3 skill guys, no one gets the puck. So Huff knows his role or knew his role there, and I don't think he tried to do too much else.
And at that point, you come back and you score the game-tying goal on a nice play out in front of the goal. At that point, do you feel confident once it's even that at that point you guys are winning the game? Or is it more nerve-wracking, it's back to 0-0, and you know it's probably the next goal wins?
I think, honestly, for our class, I don't know if I speak for, you know, Huff or Kaner, but I think for our class, going through what we went through starting our sophomore year, and then moving on up to our senior year, we were very confident in our skill set. And, you know, our outcomes, and we had a very successful team. Obviously, our sophomore year, we were in the Frozen Four. And then, you know, junior year, we had a really good run in the playoffs too. And then, you know, finally our senior year, we put it all together, we felt like. So I think that was a mindset that our seniors, you know, our sophomore year kind of instilled on us. I felt they did a really good job at showing us how to win. I can know from a personal standpoint, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I showed up on campus, but I felt our freshmen did a really good job at buying in, and I think that, you know, that goes a long way. It shows you what Gerald did, and then as well as, you know, Kenny Bavinsky, Chad McDonald, those kind of kids too. The team was deep, and not a lot of college hockey teams have that, and I think that was something that we relied on heavily.
I'd like to comment that, you know, for years too since then, we've wondered what we after that year, we were missing the number 19 jersey. And it's awesome now for me to locate where that jersey is.
Yeah, so I told the guys in the group chat before I got on, I said, I think the last time I wore this jersey was the Christmas tournament of my sophomore year because I didn't play the rest of the year. So I just framed it then after the Christmas tournament. I stole it from Benny and just put it right in my frame. Just kept it in my house.
I think the reason you didn't play is we lost the jersey.
That's got to be it. That's the only reason. Not that I was a liability defensively.
As we head for overtime here, Corey Kane has already had he's already got I think at least 1 point in the game, and assist on Gerald's first goal. But coach, as I recall, you're trying to get Kyle Shemp in here and there to maybe spell Corey, who, as we talked about, hadn't practiced all week. As you get to the face-off that turns into the game-winning goal, what leads you to the decision to put Kane back out there for one more? Because I know there might have been a little hesitation at that point. You're in overtime, and you win, you got to go again the next night anyways.
That was a consideration in trying to spell Corey, is the fact that, okay, he hasn't practiced in a while coming off the flu. Now we're in overtime. And obviously the goal is to win the entire thing. And you don't want to just have it all in one night. And so, I can't speak specifically 100% to why Corey that face-off. Shemp was a good face-off man himself. They're both left shot. If I remember everything else correctly, Gerald was lined up on the wall on his offhand, what we call a switch swing set. Obviously a set type play. It requires Huffer to cut in on the draw and go to the net. It requires a good job by Corey Kane to win the faceoff, and he is a very, very good faceoff man and has excellent stick skills. And then obviously Jerry, it's up to him to get the puck and then find a way to get to the net. So I can't say exactly why, but I would think that we were coming, it was 2:38, I believe, into the overtime. It was quick. And so coming off a break where Corey would have had a chance to get fluids and rest between third period and overtime, was probably played a lot into that, saying, okay, well, he's, probably a bit fresh. We could use him at least the start of the third period.
Corey, at that point in the game, how did you feel?
I don't remember, being honest. No, I think, like you said, we just come off the intermission. So, I mean, first 5 minutes, we should be feeling good at least.
We fittingly, as we also want to congratulate Gerald here on winning the Willie Marshall Award, which goes to the American Hockey League's leading goal scorer. Jerry gets to take center stage here at the end of the game. Corey wins the draw. Huff cuts the goal. Did you see any opening on goal? Do you remember it very well, or was it just kind of let it fly and pray that it goes somewhere good type of shot?
I remember Kaner coming up to me before the face-off, and he said, "I'm going to win it right here." So, I lined up on the boards, and I don't think the face-off could have been one any more perfect. It was right in my stride. And if I'm remember correctly, that was a new goalie because I think they pulled one of their goalies. So at that point, it's overtime. I got on my stick, and I just tried to, it wasn't the hardest shot at all if you watch it again, but I just tried to get it through onto the net. And I don't know if there was any traffic or anything like that, but it found its way in, and, I was pretty excited. So.
Finally, the most important question. Oh, go ahead, Coach.
If I could, jump in. I have a question for Gerald on that. Gerald, obviously being a right shot, coming off the wall. And I can't help but think of all the times that Coach Famulak, after practice, would work with you. Was there any certain things that Coach Fam that you can think of, any big tips he might have given you that really helped you at that moment?
Pretty much shoot the puck. I probably did that 30 times at practice. Or hit the net. Either one. He's always in your ear in practice. And sometimes Demar and him going at it one time because he's yelling at Demar. But, he always said, shoot the puck, like that. He was in the back of my mind for sure.
Yeah. My most important question is for Andy Huff.
Oh.
Your thoughts on Jerry's famous or infamous goal celebration?
Well, yeah. So that might be the thing that stands out most in my mind when I think about this game was that, we scored. I'm excited. I go look over at Jerry. He's right in front of me. I go to give him a hug, and he just ducks me and bails to go celebrate by himself, which probably should have seen coming. But yes, he totally ducks me. Went and celebrated. I think he went to the student section. If I'm
He
mistaken.
went to
So
G.
It was
I
pretty
think
good.
it was.
No.
Yeah, dude. You see it. You see, he goes right by me. And then you see the picture, right? The one that they got on the wall. I'm like on top of the pile. I should be right in the pile.
If you didn't bail,
We're on the ice.
yeah.
We're not.
I
coming
remember
up.
what happened. I went, and I think Lowney grabbed me from behind, and then I saw Kaner jump on me. But I did try to go to the student section. I don't know. I was a freshman, all excited.
So Lowney would have grabbed you kind of right around the knees.
Yeah.
Oh, great shot.
Poor guy's not even here to defend himself.
I know.
Oh man, well it's a good memory, and for those of you out there that have tuned into this pregame interview, thanks for joining us here tonight. And you can catch the game tomorrow, May 21st, 7:07 p.m. We'll put the link out on social media. If you can't make it then, we've got a televised offering of it as well on Local 32 in Northern Michigan, 3:30 p.m. on Sunday. Thanks everybody for joining us. And anybody got any parting shots for anybody that's not here on the Zoom call?
I'm good. I got my shots in.
No, I'm good.
That's
All
it.
right. Well, thanks everybody. We'll talk to everybody soon, and hope you guys enjoy the game.